muito bem, sou o Max Katz. Hi everyone. I hope you guys understood my Portuguese. I'm very happy to be here. Again, thank you for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Apri.io and show you how the platform works. So to start, I am VP of Product and also Developer Relations for Apri.io. Now, Apri is a cloud-based platform for building and running enterprise mobile applications. So the key is that not only building, but also running your enterprise mobile applications. Now, what Apri enables you to do is, or organizations, is to build applications very fast, deliver updates very fast. And of course, means you will save a lot of time and money. So you can literally deliver an application within days or weeks. And that's what people expect today. The traditional, application or web application cycle used to be, 6 months, maybe even, 10 months, 12 months, and so on. That simply doesn't work anymore for mobile applications. Your customers, your clients, they expect the mobile application to be available and also be available very, very fast, right? Again, they're not going to wait for 12 or 18 months for an application for a mobile app to be delivered. So we're solving this exact problem. We enable organizations to deliver applications very fast. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of the platform, and then I'm going to actually spend most of the time, the rest of the time, actually building a mobile application. So first, starting on the left-hand side where you see apps, right? So what kind of applications can you build or deliver with Apri.io? So you can build HTML5 mobile apps which run on any browser, any device, any platform, as long as you have a browser. And you can also deliver hybrid applications for iOS, Android, and also Windows Phone, right? So that's the result. And this is just a standard application that you would install on your device. You can publish it to an app store, right? Or you can also publish it maybe to your enterprise app store if you have one. So that's for the result. Now, we also provide a binary build that will package the app as a binary. And again, you download the file and you can publish it to an app store. Now, moving to the middle section where it says the app builder. So the app builder is one of the core capabilities in the platform, and this is where you build the app. You build the pages, you define, set up UI logic, navigation, and so on. So it's a visual drag and drop builder, and again, you will see that. And of course, the visual approach makes it fast and simple to build the application. However, at the same time, and that's this middle icon here, you get access to the source code, and you can write any custom code. You can include any third-party libraries and so on. So it's not that one approach is better than the other. We understand that any mobile application will require some customization. Some will require a little bit more, some a little bit less. But the key is that you have access to the source. So you can write any code, include libraries, and so on. So that gives you flexibility. As for the frameworks, so what's under the hood? So it's HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. As for the UI frameworks, the platform supports the jQuery Mobile, Bootstrap, and Ionic, right? And Bootstrap and Ionic both are based or use AngularJS. And then there's also Apache Cordova or PhoneGap, and that what allows us to build a hybrid application, and also what gives allows the application to access native device APIs. For example, the camera, contacts, geolocation, and so on. So again, Apache Cordova, or you might have, pretty sure you've heard PhoneGap. So this is for the app, right? So this is the app. This is what gets installed on the device. Now, moving to the backend services section here. So every app, of course, right, it talks to some backend or it talks to a server, okay? And so we'll provide these backend services as part of the platform. So really quickly, there is a cloud database for storing app data. Instant push notifications. Server code allows you to write custom app logic on the server using JavaScript. API Express has two main capabilities. Number one, it allows you to connect to any external data sources. For example, if you have a relational database and you would like to use it in the mobile app, you would connect to it via API Express. And I'm going to actually show it to you in an example. The other capability is this offline. So it also, you can build apps that work offline, basically out of the box. Analytics, this is something we're still working on, and this is soon here. Secure proxy allows you to keep sensitive app API data, such as an API key, a token maybe on the server, so it's never exposed on the client. You can do any type of authentication, for example, OAuth2 authentication and so on. I mentioned offline sync. Social integration, you can have a capability where you build, where you have a login with Twitter, for example, login with Facebook in your app. And finally, hosting. You can, if you're building an HTML5 mobile app, you can host with the platform. So you can publish the app to a URL. But of course, you can also publish in other to other platforms as well if you would like. So I'm going to quickly jump to the APIs. So the platform also makes it very easy to connect to any third-party APIs. So, and I know that the first part of the presentation talked about APIs a lot. So you can use any API that's out there if you're building your mobile application. Now this enterprise box here, so this goes together with API Express that I mentioned. So if you have any data sources within your organization that you would like to use in your mobile application, but it's not yet API, but it's not REST API exposed, then again, you can use API Express to connect to this enterprise data source and then expose it via a REST API. Jumping here to the very end, now we also provide a native test app. And what this means is that if you're building a hybrid application, you want to you want to test the app on the device. But of course, every time we make a change, reinstalling it just takes a very long time. So we provide a special app. It's free. It's available for Android and iOS that allows you to test the applications you're building in app.io without having to install them on the device, right? So it's an app, and you simply tap. You see a list of all the applications, and you can tap an app and test the applications you're building, right? The last thing is that team management, permission, and security. So you can build a team of developers, create a team of, and you can share different resources. You can work on the app at the same time at different times. You can assign permissions, security, and so on. So it's kind of again, a typical team management capability. So that's for the platform. Again, hopefully, kind of gives you a good idea. Again, just to summarize, it's a platform to build applications and also run applications. And again, probably the most important thing is that the platform enables you to build those applications very fast. And as you can see, we provide a lot of sort of plumbing or a lot of foundation in the platform, so it's easier for you to build the app, right? But again, the final app is simply installed on the device, and then it talks via APIs to either our backend or maybe to a third-party API. All right, so that's for the platform, and now I'm actually gonna show you a demo, right? And show you how to build your mobile application. So give me just a few seconds here. I'm going to start screen sharing. Give me just 1 second here. All right, very good. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. All right, so this is the platform. And these tabs here, so these tabs represent the main components that I just mentioned. And the first thing, we're gonna start with the API Express, but also the app that I'm going to build is it will access a relational database, okay? And I'm going to show you the database. So the idea is that you have a database, you have a relational database within your organization, and you would like to build a mobile application that is able to view the data in that database. Maybe, right, you can view data and you can also create data. So I have a database that's running in the Amazon cloud, right? It's right here. I have a let me reconnect and see here. All right. I have a table, and then I have a database, and then I have 4 tables. Let me show you how it looks. Right. So it's pretty straightforward. So there is some telephone number, and there is some message, and there is also a primary key. All right. So again, my first step is to expose this database via a REST API. So let's see how to do that. Right, so I'm going to go back to API Express. Now, the first thing is that you need to create a database connection. Now, I'm going to use an existing one simply because it's very simple to create one and just to save time. But basically, you set a connection name, and then you enter the URL, right? And then you enter the database username and password. So very, very standard. What you can do is you can test the connection, right? And you can see the test is successful, right? So I have a connection, and you can create any number of connections. Let's go back, right? And now I'm going to create a new API Express project. Now, what the project does is that it holds the APIs that you create or generate. So let me create a new project, and I'm going to call this and click create. Right? And what I just did is that so I created a brand new project. And the next step is to create a new service. So I'm going to click new service. Now I have 2 options here. I can automatically generate APIs, right? Or I can use a visual editor. So for now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to use this option, and I'm going to show you the other option as well. Now, this is where I create the endpoint. So I'm going to call this message, and this is I can give a description, so we can say messaging APIs. I'm going to select the database connection, right? And then I'm going to select table, and then right away API Express would analyze the database and the metadata, and will show me basically the columns that I have. You can make changes, but we're not going to make any changes. We're going to keep everything as is, and I'm going to click save. And you can see instantly I have generated APIs to talk to that database, and you can see there is a delete, get, put, and so on. Of course, you want to be able to test this, so we can click test, right? And we're taking to a test page. And we can test. So for example, this find, this allows us to find a particular record, but let's say I want to get all of them. So I'm going to delete, and I'm going to click test, right? And you can see that I'm automatically getting the 3 items that I have in my database, right? And again, you can test other. Now, this is the URL. So you can see this is the URL to the service, to the database that I just created, right? Now, you can also make this API secure. So you can go to settings, and you can also select that this REST API is secure as well. Right? Go back. So this is good. I also promised to show you the other options. So let me click new service. I'm going to click right here and click create. All right, as you can see, what I have here is a visual um, flow editor or service editor. And so what this allows me to do is to create a very advanced service logic flow. And what I mean by that is that, so this is in the start. I'm going to give this just a name, my service, for example. And now I have these components that I can build my API flow. There is a SQL component which allows me to connect, again, to a database. But what's different here is that I can type any SQL query, right? The example that I showed you before, we automatically generated the API. But here, you can type any SQL query, and also you can do a stored procedure, for example. So if I do something like this, let me select the connection, click generate, I can run the, right? And you can see that I'm getting the result. It only shows one result because the result can be large. Now there's also a REST component. So this allows me to connect to an external REST service. There is a SOAP component. It allows me to connect to a SOAP service. There is a fork. A fork allows me to run some execution in parallel. Right? Condition allows me to do kind of a if-else type. Okay. Mapping allows me to take data from one component and map it to another. Then, lastly, the script component. It allows me to write any custom JavaScript, right? And add, again, be able to add some custom logic to my service flow, okay? And lastly, there is server code component, which allows me to invoke a server code script that I have in my account, right? And again, this is server-side JavaScript, so very similar to Node.js, for example. All right. So as you can see, I'm not going to finish this. I'm just going to delete. But as you can see, this allows you to really create advanced service flow, right? But for the outside world, right? If I click, let me just click test here, right? Uh, I just have a simple, very simple API, but I can invoke pretty advanced logic behind the API. So in this case, I'm just doing a select. All right. All right. Very good. So I created my backend, and let's go back here, and let me close. Right. So this is my backend. Let's go to apps. Right. I'm going to create a brand new app, and I'm going to call this messaging webinar app. Right. And click create. All right. So this is looks very similar. The interface looks very similar to what you just saw, and that's of course that's how we want it to be. And I'm going to open the first page. Right? And you can see this is your device, and these are the mobile components. Okay. So let's first make it so we can display the messages. So first we're going to call this messages. Okay. And then I'm going to take a list component and drag and drop the list component. Now there are 3 static items, but because I'm going to be loading data from a database, I just need. Right? So this is it for my UI, at least for now. What I need to do now is I need to import the API that I created, right, in API Express. So I'm going to go to Create New and select API Express Generator, right, and select Next, right. And so this is the project that I just created, Message APIs Webinar. And you can see that right here, this is my message endpoint, and I'm going to click Generate and click Generate. right? Now, the only thing I need to do now, I need to quickly reload the app builder to refresh the tree. And you can see that all these services were generated for me automatically, which is very nice. So now, once I got my UI, I get my services, now I need to use the services on the page. So for that, I'm going to switch to data, and I'm going to add a service to my page. So service, right? And then find, and we can do list. We can just rename it. And now I need to do mapping. So I need to map the service to the page. And I'm going to click the success mapping here. And you can see the result from the service. And this is my page. So first, I'm going to take the collection of all the messages and map it to the list, right? And that's what give me a looping feature. Now notice right here, you can write any, if you need to, you can write custom JavaScript code, right? If you need to. Now I'm going to take the text and map it to the text property and save. Right? Now I'm going to go back to design, and what I need to do now is I need to invoke the service when I when I load the page. So I select the page in breadcrumbs, and I'm going to change this to page show, and I'm going to say invoke service, and save. Okay? What I can do now is that I can click the test button, right, and test this this one page that I built, right, and you can see that um, I have now loaded the messages from the relational database into my app. Now this is here. This is not a simulator or emulator. This is the actual app running in the browser, right? We can also remove this frame. Hopefully this will give you a better idea how the app looks. All right? So this is how it looks. All right. So I know we're sort of short on time, so let me quickly create a second page where we can add messages as well. Okay. Let's create a new page, and let's say maybe new message. And let's get we'll get an input component, we'll get a text area component, and we'll get a button. So message. All right. Okay. And let's also add a button right here, so we can navigate and we can do an icon, maybe something like this, and we can call this maybe history. It's all the messages, right? Okay. So this is our page. Now, I also what I need to do is I need to make this to be the starting page. So I can go to project, app settings, and right here change it to. Also notice right here, this is where you set the various binary options for Android. You can upload launch images and so on, and same thing for iOS. But let's go to data and then select the service now. Now we need create. We'll just create. And now I need to do input mapping. Right? So what this means is that this is the phone number, so I'm going to map it to the telephone, and then this is right, like this. As for the return, I'm not going to really do anything, but what I would like to do is maybe just run a quick JavaScript and say that my message was successfully saved, as an example. So message saved. And so this is just standard Ajax callbacks. Notice that you can also handle errors, for example, if you need to. Let's go back to design. Oh, sorry, design. And we need to invoke this the service on button click. So we're going to say invoke service. Yeah, and let's save. Now let's test. Now enter the telephone number, so maybe 15, right? And click save, right? You can see it's a message saved. And if I go to history, oh, looks like I didn't add navigation. Maybe I forgot to save it. Oh, I think so too. Yes, I did not add navigation. So let's go back. I click the button and I'm going to select navigate to page. Oh, wrong page. It is start screen. Now, but just to quickly check, we can go to our database, of course, right? And we can just click. And you can see that the message is here, right? So it was saved all the way into the database. But let's go back and let's run this again. Right? And all right, and you can see that the message is now here here as well. All right. Now, I think unfortunately we have very little time, and I want to leave some time for Q&A. But what you can also do is I'm just saving a message into a database, right? But maybe what you would like to do is actually send an SMS message. So I'm sure some of you have heard about Twilio, right? It's a communication as a service company. And then what it allows you to do is send SMS messages, right? And it provides APIs, right, to send a message. So we could also add sending a message. So for example, you would go to create new service, create service, and then specify the URL, right, for Twilio or any other service here, and then invoke the service the same way. So we would, first send an SMS and then save it into the database, right? So that's also an option. But I do want to show you one more thing here. Let's say this is your app, right? So what do you do next? Well, you can build a binary for Android and iOS. So for example, launching the build for Android usually takes a minute or so, right? And then you can. This is basically a file that you can now, once it's done, upload it to Google Play. iOS is very similar, but it's just going to take a little bit longer. You also need to provide at least your developer certificate in your developer provisioning profile, all right? Um, Now, what I'm also going to do is actually I'm going to make this up public for you guys, and so if you want, you can actually try running it on your devices. So right here, right, there is a QR code. So if you scan this QR code, you will be able to run this app uh, in the in your browser on your phone. Okay. So I'll keep it on for a little bit. That's sort of it for my demo. So obviously there's a lot more functionality and a lot more capabilities, right? There is a cloud database. I mentioned there is server code. Uh, but if you guys are interested, you want to learn more, definitely sign up. We have a lot of resources on our YouTube channel, very short videos that show you how to build apps with Appri.io. All right. So again, I'll keep this for just a few more seconds. But other than that, I'll give it back to you guys so you can do the Q&A. Actually, the Android is on right here, so you can see the file, and this is the Android. Let me stop sharing here. Right, so again, it's back to you guys again, so you guys can do the open up the Q&A. See, there's one question. I'm going to read it as again. I'm not sure if you guys see all the questions, but so the first question is you create an app in Appri.io and it's running on your API. Want to make your app run slow because of the internet delay between countries when compared to an API hosted locally. So, maybe there will be very small delay. Obviously, if something is local, it should be faster. But again, we don't anticipate, we don't expect very large delays. Now, we if you really need to have a guaranteed sort of response time, is that we do have an on-premise installation option, so you can actually install the API Express or any other part of the platform on-premise, and it will be local to your organization, for example, right? Obviously, the version that I use is a cloud version, but hopefully that answers the question. If you guys don't have any more questions, so I have my contact information. Hopefully you guys can see it, my email, my Twitter, my blog. So if you definitely sign up, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me with any questions. I'll be happy to answer and help you get started. And again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell you about Apri.io.
Oi, pessoal. Obrigado por ter assistido mais esse webinar nosso. E, por favor, acompanhe a gente no nosso canal do YouTube, site, todos os meios de redes sociais. Grande abraço e até a próxima, gente. Obrigado.